Valentine's Day has come and gone, but this past Friday, NC State got that long-term contract with their boo.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can join today and get $150 back in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Happy Tuesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Now, Kenton, we're going to start with this news of athletic director Boo Corrigan signing a new contract with NC State. This news dropped on Friday, ironically, the same day as our Wolfpack Coachland security. Our athletic director Boo Corrigan signs a new contract to stay here at NC State. This extends all the way out to June of 2029. Kenton, give us your take about where you stand on Boo Corrigan's tenure.
One of these two things must be true about Boo Corrigan. He is either one of the luckiest men to ever come along, to ever do it, or he's actually pretty good at his job. But either way, the PR department ain't quite PRing for NC State. I mean, this man has accomplished some things that are objectively very rare for any athletic director at any school, regardless of size, regardless of age of the university, regardless of reputation athletic at the university, regardless of who the coaches are. He has accomplished some things that are very rare. And with that being said, it isn't talked about enough because Boo is this, he kind of runs into that same problem as Jim Phillips, where you don't have enough of that showman in you or that show person in you. Debbie Yao had that show person in her. She had it in her. She had it draped on her. It's like Batman when Bane said, "You think the darkness is your ally? I was born into it. You merely adopted the darkness. I was born into it. By the time I saw the light, it was just blinding." That's the type of show person that Debbie Yao was. It was just on her. Boo's not that. You have to give him at least credit for not doing anything to rock the boat and upset the success that was on the way, even if you believe everything was already set up for you to be successful. You were born on third. You just had to get home. Well, he didn't try to steal on the first pitch. Think about that. That's so I'm not saying that Boo Corrigan is the greatest athletic director of all time and he needs to go into the North Carolina and College Sports Hall of Fame, but I'm saying that he has done a good enough job for me to not have a ton of criticism of him. My only criticism and indictment of him, which I think is a pretty large one, is that he's not that mild-manneredness is at times very much so a detriment to him, especially knowing Wolfpack Nation, right? When that Florida State thing went down and they got snubbed for the playoff, he should have been the first person saying, ACC plays great football. The ACC plays amazing football. I wanted Florida State in, but it's a committee. I was one person. I was one vote. He should have been the first person when the Holiday Bowl thing came out. UCLA should have been more transparent. And it's a shame that they did this today. But what did he do? He acknowledged that game is a win. He paid out bonuses as if it was a win. He went on about his business as if they had won that game, which every athletic director might not do. He's not that guy, but he has made all the right moves to keep teams in contention, to make teams better. The non-revenue sports, absolutely crushing it as always. You have to give Boo Corrigan credit for at least some of that.
The most vocal complaint about Boo Corrigan is definitely that he is not as vocal as Debbie Yao was. And I think there's some merit to that because like Omaha in 2021, yeah, I probably would have liked to hear more transparency from Boo Corrigan about what was going on, what NC State tried to do to keep themselves in the competition. and this, that, and the other. But instead, he did all of his work behind the scenes. And I think there's something to be said for that as well, because that's just his style. I think it was in the One with Wolfpack documentary series that they do every year. And they showed video of him talking in front of the team, basically saying UCLA has withdrawn or forfeited, for lack of a better term here. And he was in tears. He was in tears in front of the team saying he's so sorry that this happened to them. He's done everything he can. We can't find another opponent. This is what it is. So you can't say he doesn't care. He just has a different style of going about his business, which that's fine, because I think when you look at the overall success, I'm going to touch on the Learfield's Directors Cup. It's a metric that measures success across all sports at a university. Under Boo Corrigan, NC State has posted back-to-back top 20 finishes, which is not something they'd ever done before. And once they finished 19th from the 2022-23 school year, it was the first time that NC State had ever finished in the top 25 of this metric for 3 consecutive years. And again, listen, I'm not in the Boo Corrigan PR department. I'm just reading you the facts here. Since Corrigan took over in 2019, NC State has won 16 ACC championships, which is 3 more than anyone else in the conference. Women's cross country is winning national titles seemingly every year. Swimming, men and women, is elite. Wrestling, elite. Women's tennis has now risen their stock. They played for a national championship recently. Also won one of those ACC championships last year. You just saw gymnastics. They just won an ACC championship this past weekend. And dating back to last season, like I mentioned, NC State was one of 8 Division I schools to advance to the postseason in the Big Four sports. That's football, men and women's basketball, and baseball. There was only 8 of those schools, and NC State was one of them. I can understand why Boo Corrigan gets some of the flack that he does, and it's in large part because we're not winning a championship in these Big Four sports. Outside of women's basketball, of course, they had their three-peat in the ACC tournament, but baseball has not won anything, although they came close. Football has not won a bowl game in quite some time. We're liking our prospects for next year, but that is what it is for now. And of course, basketball, we've seen the struggles. You can't ignore the success in all of the other sports because, again, Boo Corrigan is the AD, the athletic director. He's paying attention to every sport here at NC State. And when you look at his body of work in every sport, he is doing a good job. Debbie Yao, she would go to bat for our school on Twitter every chance that she got. And that became endearing to NC State fans. We love when somebody puts their foot in the ground and says, this is my school and you're not going to treat us that way. We love that. And so I get that. But Boo Corrigan, just because he's not vocal on Twitter, it doesn't mean he's not doing his job to the best of his ability, because he is doing that. It's just behind the scenes. All in all, this is a good thing for NC State.
As the old saying goes, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. I'm not going to say that, hey, we're the biggest Boo Corrigan stands in the world. By the way, if you do need a PR team, me and Grayson are available. Boo, call us. Give us a ring. I'm not saying that your current team not doing their job, but you know what I mean? Like, Grayson probably just dropped some facts that most people didn't know. I think we're going in the right direction right now, so not upset at the re-signing or the extension at all.
Coming up next, we have a whole lot of nothing or a whole lot of something after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first sponsor of the day is FanDuel. The wait is almost over for our state of North Carolina because FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming. On March 11th, we'll finally be able to bet on all of our favorite teams and all of our favorite sports. And with FanDuel, there's a ton of ways for us to get in on the action. You can bet on anything from money line to over-unders to which team will make a little noise in this year's March Madness. This all comes on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, with live betting, you can even pick which player will put up the next bucket, or maybe even the one after that. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon so you can be the first to know when FanDuel goes live in North Carolina. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Middle portion of our Tuesday show, now getting into a whole lot of nothing or a whole lot of something. 3 topics. The first one here. NC State basketball, of course, picked up their first quad 1 win over the weekend at Clemson. they still have 3 more of these opportunities at the schedule, at Chapel Hill, Duke at home, and then at Pitt. Virginia could wind up being a backdoor quad 1 opportunity if they continue to win. And on paper, NC State has the ability to finish this regular season with 5 quad 1 wins. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Back their way into a quad 1 win. What phrasing by a master linguist here in Grayson Boone. But no, very seriously, he's very correct, right? This is a situation where you've already won the game. The hay's in the barn there. But a team that was a quad 2 or even worse win has now all of a sudden, because UVA has figured out how to shoot the ball and McNeely is showing up for these games, who knew it can turn into a quad 1 win. But I'll tell you, the opportunity for 5 quad 1 wins is a whole lot of something. Because regardless of what you think about the ACC this year, regardless of what the metrics say, regardless of what the net says, regardless of what Lenardi says, you make it really hard on people to keep you out if you have 5 quad 1 wins. But also the other part about this is a whole lot of something. Imagine if you walk out of a potential 5 quad 1 wins just going down the stretch with only 1. You know, Grayson and I have said all along, no dance, no chance. And seems like as the TikTok trending song Murder on the Dance Floor said, if you think you're getting away, we'll prove you wrong.
Yeah, no, I think Kenton really nailed this on the head here, because if you are able to rack up 5 quad 1 wins, and I'm not telling you that is what they're going to do, but realistically here, it is on the table. It can be done. And if that were to be the case, I do think it would be hard to keep them out of the dance, because just hypothetically here, let's say they finish this regular season 6-0. Purely hypothetical. That puts them at 22-9 with 5 quad 1 wins. You're probably on the bubble if that is the case. You might be even on the other side of the bubble.
Yeah, you're well in at that.
You might be on the other side of the bubble, depending on where the rest of those chips may fall. But even if you go, let's say 5-1, you'd be 21-10 with, let's say, 4 quad 1 wins. You're probably still in that conversation. So as much as we have talked about the season looking grim and the outlook not so great, and potentially your only shot at the dance is through the ACC tournament, you give yourself a couple more breaths of life here picking up that win at Clemson from this past weekend. So, I mean, it's definitely a whole lot of something, because the opportunity now is the door is still cracked. It is not yet closed. It was pretty freaking close, but it is not yet closed. And so this is a whole lot of something, because they have the opportunity now to still make something of this season. So on that front, it is certainly a whole lot of something. Second one here, DJ Horne is now tied for first place in ACC 3-point shooting at 43.4%. The way that Horne's been going right now, a total backpacking tour, could he make a case for first team all ACC? Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
A lot of people are going to disagree with me here. I know you're going to disagree with me here. Whole lot of nothing. Whole lot of nothing. If this young man, if he can't backpack us to the tournament, if we don't end up in a situation where we're playing relevant basketball in March, all of this is for naught. You know, it's like the year that, like, Jericho Helms had one of the best years in quite some time when you think about Wolfpack players all around, but that was on one of the worst teams in NC State history. He's a friend of the pod here. We got nothing but love for the young man, but the reality is, when you don't have the team success to back it, the individual success does not mean much. You know, and even if you were to say, well, hey, it'll help Keats on the recruiting trail. How much help does Keats need on the recruiting trail? Is he not already cooking on the recruiting trail, regardless of what's going on around him? So, I mean, all I'm saying, Grace is doing a face. He's making a face. He's doing one of those, you sure about that? Faces. But in all seriousness, you know, I don't think that it's like having a player first team all conference or not will make or break whether or not Keats can recruit effectively going forward. I think that's fair to say. And so with that in mind, I think it's a whole lot of nothing.
I'm going to go a whole lot of something, because just purely on the fact that DJ Horne is carrying this team right now. He is playing unbelievable basketball, giving NC State a chance to keep themselves alive. And him shooting 43% from deep right now it's insane. And the other person he's tied with was actually, ironically enough, the CW player of the game the other night before DJ won the game. That was Joe Girard.
Joe Girard.
Very funny. Very funny situation, by the way. I'd like to think that was reverse psychology from the CW network themselves. So, hey, we'll take it. I believe the best player probably ended up hitting that final shot. But DJ Horne
loves the pack. They love the pack.
Right. DJ Horne is playing unbelievable basketball right now. And so he himself is a whole lot of something. Last one here. We're going to switch it up with some baseball. On Saturday, our top starter, Dom Fritton, and then our top reliever and Logan Whitaker gave up a combined 7 earned runs in a loss to VCU. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
I say a whole lot of nothing. People don't understand how hard and random the game of baseball is.
Yes.
Like, people truly don't. And I say this as a lifelong football, basketball guy, right? Those sports are much less random, much less. You can see in football, generally, the best team wins a lot more often than not. Yes. You don't see a ton of upset. You don't see hockey and baseball are two of those sports that's just like, it just ain't your night. You do everything perfect. You know what I mean? Everything on your mechanic for that pitch is perfect. I really and truly think this is a whole lot of nothing. This is one game. Rom-com Dom, we got your back. We still believe in you, okay? We're still right here with you. I think that this team is in its infancy to the point where you can't even say, hey, this is who they are. And y'all know Grace and me. We will gladly tell you, we just finished talking about basketball. Are there not players that we came in very high on and now we're like, brother, please do something. Yeah. We got to give you the is he dead yet kick because we need to see something here. You're doing some cardio basketball out there. If we see Dom getting rocked every time he's going out to the mound, we'll have a different conversation. But I believe this is early season, first game, things happen. He'll be all right. If you look around the landscape of college baseball as a whole, I want to say like 1/5 of the top 25 lost their series outright, not just a game. So, I could be wrong there, but I know multiple teams did lose to teams that left them scratching their heads or split with teams where it's like, baby, that was a money game. You paid them a lot of money to come in and get whooped, and they put some on you. So all in all, whole lot of nothing.
Certainly a whole lot of nothing. And in terms of the length of a college baseball season, and like Kenton touched on, the randomness sometimes, not just college baseball, but really baseball in general, you will see the pros go through a stretch like that. Even the best in the game will have days where they look completely lost out there. Baseball will absolutely humble you. And so for Dom Fritton and Logan Whitaker, by the way, these are two names that NC State desperately needs to get a lot of solid production out of. For them to not look that great on the second game of the year, it's not a concern for me. If we're having this conversation in mid to late April, you might hear my tune a little bit differently, but mid-February, opening series of the year, I couldn't be less worried about these two. I know Logan Whitaker's in a new role this year. Of course, he's been a starter. Now he's supposedly going to sit at the back end of the bullpen. Even that is not enough of a drastic change to warrant negative results over the course of the season here. So yeah. Dom Fritton's going to be fine. Logan Whitaker's going to be fine. The starting pitching for this team this season actually is a lot of cause for excitement more so than worry right now. So they'll eventually get in their groove here sooner than later. Up next, we're going to prepare you for Syracuse coming into PNC Arena on Tuesday night after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second sponsor of the day is LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for that role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They have a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to interview and hire. They give you access to professionals that you simply cannot find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of this while making the process quicker and intuitive. Hiring is that much easier when you have this many quality candidates to choose from. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses can get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats, and they simply just might not have the time or resources to hire efficiently. And that's why LinkedIn is constantly finding new ways to make this process streamlined. They've even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making this process quicker and easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Last couple minutes here of our Tuesday show. NC State men's basketball welcomes Syracuse into PNC Arena tonight, 7 p.m. NC State is actually favored by 4.5. And the last time we saw Syracuse, it felt like a potential breaking point in this season. We saw them, I think it was pretty close to about a month ago, the end of January. We went up to New York and completely laid an egg. We looked mentally checked out. The first half was non-competitive. I think we were down by like 16 at halftime. This was a game, I think it's maybe the only game so far this year that I turned it off. I could bear no more. That's how bad that the effort and the body language and everything involved was in this game. And the rest of this game ended up having the same poor vibes, although NC State made it a little closer than it looked like. I think the final score was probably a lot closer than the game truly was. But the last time we saw Syracuse, it was a dud. Kenton, what are you looking into for this game tonight?
I think that effort level to start off early. I mean, the reality is you have to be locked in, you have to be adept. But there is another thing, and I hate to be this guy because y'all know I hate bringing the refs into it. But Judah Mintz lives at the free throw. He feasts at the free throw line. The young man is the James Harden of college basketball. And no, I don't mean he's invented a step back that rewrote the rule book. It's like, it's tough to even call that basketball at a point, what he does at times. Like it's very much so like, hey, I'm seeking a foul by any means necessary, And so I'd have to say, this is a game. If NC State gets handsy, if those guards get handsy, the best way to stop DJ Horne from scoring, get him in foul trouble. Put him on the bench. That'll be the thing. So if NC State can play disciplined basketball in the backcourt, Jaden Taylor, phenomenal defender. But at times he gets a little aggressive. And he gets those calls that just don't go his way. So it's a lot to watch out for in terms of how much do the refs let him play here. Because if there's a tight whistle, Syracuse is going to win this one by a lot. But if this is one of those let him play and we got somebody besides DJ Horne figuring it out from deep, we'll be just fine.
I don't often like to only hone in on one player on the opposite team because obviously it takes everyone more often than not. But Judah Mintz is an absolute bona fide foul merchant. Last time we saw him, he had 20 points on 3 of 9 shooting, and that's because he shot 18 free throws by himself. That was 7 more than our entire team. So it's no secret what Judah Mintz is going to try and do in this game. He's going to attack the lane. He's going to flop. He's going to try and get to the foul line over and over and over again. That is how Syracuse is going to try and win this game. They have other players that can knock down shots. We saw that last time as well. But it's no secret that Judah Mintz is basically the key to all of this for Syracuse. You have to not only find a way to effectively defend him, because, it's not basketball that Mintz is actually playing, but it gets rewarded, unfortunately. And so NC State needs to keep aware of this. But honestly, I would like to see NC State give Syracuse a little bit of a taste of their own medicine. And we've talked about the lack of guys that can rim drive on this team, whether that's Jaden Taylor or DJ Horne at times, maybe Casey Morsell. Yeah. I would like to see NC State make a conscious effort to get to the foul line in this one and put the pressure back on Syracuse to actually play. Make Judah Mintz actually play basketball. And if you can do that, I like NC State's chances in this quad 3 game that NC State has to win. The backs are still up against the wall, and so the urgency absolutely has to be there.
Yeah, that young man is going to scream A more than a newborn baby just learning their first alphabet. Like that's what you're going to get out of Judah Mintz. You got to be prepared for it. You got to be ready for it. You got to know that it's coming. and don't let it throw you off your game or knock you out your square in any way, shape, form, or fashion. We'll see how this thing plays out. But this is, like you talked about, at this point in the season, with how the season's going so far, every game is crucial. Every game is important, and this one is no different.
That'll do it for us here on Tuesday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box. Tell us what you think about Boo Corrigan's extended contract, or I guess new contract, out to 2029. Tell us what you think about DJ Horn backpacking this team to keep them alive at this point in the season. And tell us what you think about the prospects of beating Syracuse in PNC on Tuesday night. And as always, hit that subscribe button if you have not already. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.